Hey Steve, they said. It's been a minute, and they were right. City Championship Wrestling were right, because it's been more than a minute. It's been lots of minutes added together to make weeks. Maybe even months, actually. I used to watch them quite a lot, these programmes. And their programmes on YouTube. And started off not really enjoying them very much, and finished up enjoying them a lot more. And I don't know why I stopped watching them. Well, listening to them as well. It's part of the watching pleasure, isn't it? Listening to them. I don't know why I did it. Other wrestling promotions come in, like Spinebuster and, Demand Lucha and that kind of thing. And I suppose it's something that dropped off the radar. CCW, the other CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling, did that as well. Maybe it's to do with a CCW thing. But anyway, I have taken the trouble to watch the last episode. Only it's not the last episode. Well, not the newest episode, because that one dropped today. So it is the episode before that. It's an hour and a half, Follocks. Now, it never used to be an hour and a half. And it takes serious amount of time. Well, an hour and a half. But it takes me... That's how maths and time works, Steve, although it's all relative, isn't it? But it does take me a lot of time in the day to find the time to watch an hour and a half. But I did it. And it's a mixed bag. Now, you know how I feel about Andre Kabashi, if you've watched Steve Smith's Rambling Reviews with the City Championship Wrestling reviews in the past, and I'm sure a lot of you have. He was always on, wasn't he? He was always around with New Albania and all that. Apparently he has been there from the beginning. They've been going about 3 or 4 years. And it was nice to see him. So I just picked my nose there, just surreptitiously. Yeah, then I drew attention to it, didn't I? Anyway, it's good to see him not taking a main stage position with a new stable that he's part of, New Age. Not New Albania, New Age. A.G.E. And they want the tag titles, and it's a guy called Midas, he's there with gold lame gloves and a gold lame jacket, or rather that stretchy gold stuff, and he's got a baseball bat, which is not sprayed gold, and they're missing a trick. Spray that sucker gold. So, you've got Annie O'Neill, who's interviewing them. Later on, you will get Paul Bowser. Shouting Paul Bowser, still shouting. The Cat Daddy, co-host. I don't know if we've got Paul Jones, the other Paul Jones, still there. Sounds a bit like him, but we don't see him. He's on commentary. I don't know if it is him. Anyway, they've got the time to do this, haven't they? There's a long period at the beginning where we've got Alex Lynch coming in, saying that Freedom Ramsey, he was there before, he's there now, he's a WWE ID person, oh yes, he's got the contract, and he's the champion, he's their heavyweight champion. He will apparently defend tonight, even though he's been attacked and left without the belt and without his clothes. I don't think they stripped him, I think they just took some of his clothes that he might have had with him. But he'll be here tonight, apparently. We see someone speaking who's not on camera. It might have been Paul Bowser, that, on commentary, but he's not there. It's a bit weird because they're all referring to him and you can't really see him. And he then takes the belt from someone in the New Age. I don't know who it is. Someone had better tell me because I don't know who that is. But he had the belt, and then out comes Freedom to clean house. Alex wants the belt, wants a title shot tonight. They're talking about it between each other. They will fight tonight. The sad thing is, they have no microphones because the New Age have taken the microphones, so they have to you can't really hear them. You have to really, really strain to hear. Anyway, Freedom Ramsey's got his belt back, and now we're looking at another belt shot, the All Media Championship. It's apparently an elimination gauntlet. Now, I don't know why they've called it a gauntlet, really, because 7 people enter. You can bring weapons to the ring. You can have a count out. You can be thrown over the top. You can be You can have a pin, I think. So that's not what a gauntlet is it? A gauntlet is one person starts and then they keep fighting until they best that person, either by submission or by pin or whatever, or count out or whatever it is, and then someone else comes in. So that's a gauntlet. This is more like a battle royale with other kind of rules. I think as soon as everybody's in, then you can start fighting for the championship, something like that. Anyway, it's Darien Ultra versus Kevin Calloway. Kevin Calloway is the agent of chaos. Now, he will be thrown out of the ring, and apparently they go on a lot about how he landed on the concrete floor very hard, and he's tweaked his apparently we're told he's tweaked his ankle. Later on we're told he's broken his ankle, and he's going to a local medical facility. So, there you go. It's all there, isn't it? We've got Calloway coming out with he's got a book. He said he wanted to he's allowed weapons, and he thinks this is the biggest weapon because knowledge is power. He reads about the definition of a weapon and then smacks Darien Ultra with the book, which is very nice, actually. There's a Darien uppercut, a neck breaker from Calloway, and then Trevor Straude is in, not Stroud, Straude, with, they say it's tripod, bits of a tripod, looks like just bits of wood to me. He's hitting people with that. Then we've got Ivan H5 Harrison, who's part of the New Age. He's a big fella. They all attack him. There's a countdown suddenly. Suddenly we get 10, 9. We didn't have that before. So it's halfway through the match and we've got that for Joseph Antonio Guerrero, who's slammed by Harrison immediately. We've got Darien hitting Harrison with a crutch to no effect at all. King Kong Coleman is in next. He faces up to Harrison because he's a big fella as well. They're both attacked by the others. Jack Delaney is then in, and we've got eliminations are now eligible. That's what happens. Yes. Delaney is immediately thrown out by many of them, actually, 3 or 4 of them. And then Guerrero eliminates himself, jumps over the top so he can have a go at Delaney, which is a bit meh. It's done a lot. Stroud is eliminated. He pulls out Darien Ultra. They have been part of the Darien Nation, I think, and they've been tag team partners, but they're not on the same page at the moment, and it's a bit like Sid Justice and Hogan. There's a lot of that going on at the moment. So it's Harrison and Coleman after Calloway takes his big tumble over the top and either breaks his leg or tweaks his ankle, one of the two. And there's Harrison and Coleman together. Shots are traded. There's a Coleman suplex. Someone gets involved. I don't know who that is. And then Harrison dumps Coleman out and wins. And there's a wrestling podcast, that comes out and gives him the belt. And nothing happens, and apart from giving him the belt, and that's okay. So Nick Green is then facing Tommy Rinks. They trade wrist locks. It's not bad, actually, this. There's a Rinks backbreaker, a Nick Green sling blade, nice stunner and enziguri, and then a senton from Rinks, who gets the crucifix counter for the pin. It's his first win in City Championship Wrestling. It was rather good. Not good, but okay. And it was a short match. It was okay. Okay, that's all I can say. Okay. Next we get TFG, who are TFG means those effing guys. They're tag champs. Out comes Kobashi and Jay Abrams, who of course both of them were there at the beginning. They are number 1 and 2 matches in City Championship Wrestling. They had the first 2 matches. And they were in New Albania, weren't they? Now they were in the New Age. And they're allowed to have a title shot. So we're going to have that later on. But first we've got Tishuk the Terrible and Ike Watts, who are in the New Age, versus Evan Encore and Christian Ford, who's debuting. He's the alternate. He's deputizing. That's it, for someone else. So you get some Evan Encore shots to Ike Watts. There's a 2 count for those. Senton and knee drop. Evan Encore and Christian Ford combo, which is nice. Tishuk the Terrible is he's big guy. He's got a kind of Persian thing going on. That kind of gimmick. He pulls on, it seems to have anyway, he pulls on Christian Ford's face. There's a choke slam from Ike Watts. and Tashuk smacks his opponents from outside. Then he gets a front face lock, picks him up on the front face lock. I think it's Evan Encore, or it could be Christian. No, it could be Christian Ford actually. Picks him up from a face lock and then drops him. It's lovely that. There are some Evan Encore big shots and a kind of upside down Rana. You know, he puts the head scissors on and then makes him turn round and all that. And then he's the Rana. I like that. There's a power bomb though from Tashuk and an Ike Watts splash for the pin. Here's Paul Bowser out. He's introducing a YouTube sensation. He is a wrestling YouTube reviewer and gadabout town. It's called Houston Genius. He's a little kid. He's probably only about 7 or 8. He fiddles with the mic for ages. He can't really see whether it's on or not. He's not really got much charisma, I have to say. He's only a kid, so it's quite nice that he speaks to a guy in the audience who thankfully has an awful lot of charisma. Well, he does an awful lot of shouting and screaming. Not screaming, but shouting. You know, he's very hyped up, and that adds something to it. It's not a good segment, this, but he's a kid, so it's fair enough. It's nice. It's nice, but some kids are really precocious, aren't they, and quite charismatic, and they can do that. Some people like that. He isn't. And thankfully, the segment is over fairly quickly. So, tag team belts, the Kobashi and Abrams for the New Age versus TFG. Those effing guys. They fight immediately. There's a rake to Kobashi's back. Kobashi wears a shirt, so there's no real reason to rake him, really. You got it's called Don Cohen. He chokes Abram. Jay Leo is incapacitated. He looks like he's really not fit for getting back in the ring at all, actually. He really oversells it. Then there's a basement Don Cohen drop kick. Nice elbow drops from Kobashi. He doesn't half wind up those suckers well. There's a Cone kip-up kick and a shotgun drop kick. He's doing well on his own, really. DDT, though, from Abrams. There's one person chanting, "This is awesome." Sounds so lonely. What is the loneliest number? This is awesome. Nobody thinks to join him. Yeah, it's not awesome. It's a pretty standard wrestling entertainment match, but there's nothing wrong with that. The champs then hit a sort of double neck breaker, because Leo's back by then, for the pin. And they'll fight the Backseat Boys next week. That's what they're told by Paul Bowser, for the Juggalo Championship Wrestling versus the CCW Tag Team Belt. So it's belt versus belt. That's what they want. That's what they want. That's what they're going to get. It's great, actually, that. It'd be a good match, I think. And this was a pretty good match. It was wrestling entertainment. It was, well, we're beating on him for a long time. He's got the hot tag and beat us all up. That's it. Now, Paul Bowser is out with a B. Larson interview. Christian Ford's out, basically taking the mickey and called misogynistic. And quite right, Paul Bowser, I think he used that word. That was very good, actually. She punches him out. We've got a Ford versus Larson match, which is shots and a choke and a side slam and a headlock, which is worked very nicely. That's worked it is worked extremely nicely, actually. There is a kick from Larson as Christian Ford runs in, and a sunset flip for a 2 count. Nasty package powerbomb and a kick out. A Ford powerbomb and a kick out from Larson. But Larson hits the spear and gets the pin. And Ford hasn't won a match in City Championship Wrestling yet, and he looked a bit silly. And that was the whole idea. The whole idea, folks. Now, Alex Lynch versus Freedom Ramsey. This is rather good, folks. For the main event, Follocks, it's really good. Rather good, not really good, rather good. So there's a leg sweep early on, from a Russian leg sweep, if you like, from Freedom Ramsey, and a face buster out the corner, which is very nice. But Alex Lynch gets his shoulders into Ramsey and a massive, huge Beal, I mean, almost completely across the ring. Then we get a massive desperation kick from Ramsey, who's had he's taken a lot of offense, so that's his desperation and comeback. A Uranagi from Lynch. he counters the Fist of Freedom from Ramsey, his finisher. And Ramsey does get the Fist of Freedom for the pin. It was frenetic. It was fast. It was well done. And actually, this whole episode was too long, far too long. And their sponsor is almost between every single match. That gets a bit old in an hour and a half, to be honest, because I think it must be 8 or 9 times that she's lovely, but it's just a little bit too long, maybe. So, do I think I'll be watching City Championship Wrestling again? Not every week, because I can't spare the time, I don't think. But I've enjoyed this one, so why wouldn't I enjoy the next? They've made some changes. Those changes clearly work. And, yeah, let's have a go. Let's see what time I can spare. Because you know what? No reason why you wouldn't when it's this enjoyable. Ta-ta.